getting the joke, and that's going to be my first one. Was my name is Jon Smith, for real. Especially when I order pizza, I really run into some trouble with that one. But I am Jon Smith. I am also the iPod teacher on Twitter. So if you are on Twitter and you want to give me a follow, great. If not, that's okay. I'm also Jon Smith at bookcreator.com. So feel free to reach out to me at either place if you have any follow-up questions or if you need anything at all, please let me know. And like Matt said, you can use the Q&A box or the chat window. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that may pop up. Done about 4,000 webinars in the last few years, and I've gotten pretty good at looking out of the corner of my eye and seeing those questions pop up. So always happy to answer those questions. I taught special ed for 12 years, mostly 5th and 6th grade. Every once in a while, they threw a kindergarten class in there, I think to make sure that I was awake and kind of keep me on my toes. But then after that, I was a tech integration specialist for 7 years, mostly at a high school. 19 years later, I am now a teacher success manager here at Book Creator. So lots of webinars, lots of trainings, sales support, renewals, conferences, and basically anything that I can do to help schools and districts and teachers best utilize their Book Creator licenses. That's really what I'm here for. So really, again, excited to be here today. I'm married. I've got 3 kids. They're 12, 8, almost 9, and 5. And I love golf. So I don't know if there's any golfers out there. Maybe give me a thumbs up in the chat window or something. A lot of non-golfers in the webinars lately. So if anybody's a golfer, please cheer me up and put a thumbs up in the chat window. But if you're not a golfer, this one usually gets the hands raised. Does anybody have a dirty car? And I already know the answer to this question. And the answer is yes, right? You all have dirty cars because you live in the same kind of area like Ohio, right? Where we're about to hit salt season, right? So I know that we have dirty cars. But the reason I ask is because on the side, I'm a certified auto detailer. So if you have a dirty ride and you're anywhere near Ohio, come on over. I'll be more than happy to clean that ride up for you. All right. Yeah, not today. No golf today. A little bit too cold, right, Matt? All right. So like Matt said, today we are going to kind of talk about transforming an engagement in your classroom with Book Creator. And so the way we're going to talk about that is I'm going to show you Book Creator, what it does, all the cool features that you can use. And we're going to talk about ways that that's going to help engage your students. Because the one thing that I can say with 100% certainty is that your students will love Book Creator. All right. And I know that Jill has already said in the chat window that her students love Book Creator. So whether you're brand new to Book Creator or you've used it before, today I hope and I think that you will get some definite value out of what we are going to learn. And if you haven't used Book Creator in the last few weeks or so, there's even some new features that I'd like to share and discuss here today. And my apologies, you just heard my dog. She likes to interrupt the webinars every once in a while, and this is going to be no different. So please bear with me if she gets a little bit rowdy. All right, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into Book Creator. And for those of you that have never used Book Creator before, I am going to put our website into the chat window here. And this sign-in page is going to allow you to create a free account, right? So if you want to get in here and play around with it, it is totally free to try out. We'll talk about some of the differences between the free and paid version as we go along. But this is the page that you're going to go to. And the first thing that you need to do when you get here is pause, all right? Because this is actually the student sign-in page. So right here where it says student sign in, underneath, there is a little blue button. And you're going to click the blue button that says switch to teacher. All right, so you want to make sure that you have this big blue screen with the owl on it. All right, and that is going to be the teacher sign-in page. Now, when you get here and you start to sign in, whether it's with Google, Microsoft, email, maybe your school uses Clever, doesn't matter. You're going to sign in. It's going to ask you some questions. What do you teach? What grade level? And eventually, it's going to ask you to create a library. Now, for today's purposes and for you just trying things out, it really doesn't matter what that library is called. All right, it could be class 1, it could be demo, it could be math, science, you name it, anything, it doesn't matter. We're just going to jump through the hoops and get in here to our actual library. Now, when you're in your library, there's it'll say you don't have any books, right? If you've never used Book Creator before, plenty of time to make books. But before we get into all of the cool stuff that you can do within Book Creator, I want to bring your attention to the 3 black lines here at the top left. All right, those 3 black lines will take you to the teacher dashboard. This is where all of your books and libraries are going to live. And with the free version, you are able to make one library with up to 40 books in it. You can archive those libraries if you don't want them anymore, but it's always 40 active books. If you go to the paid version, then you can get 1,000 books and unlimited libraries. So now you can make a library for every class, you can make a library for small groups, you can make a library for every student if you really wanted to, and use Book Creator like a digital portfolio. All right, but again, there's the options there within the teacher dashboard under the libraries tab. Now, the next tab across the top is the Discover tab. And the Discover tab is an amazing place to go because it is filled with resources and ideas for using Book Creator. Here at the top, we just revamped this, I think, this morning, actually. So here at the top, there is a new Thanksgiving activity book that you can use with your students, which is really cool. Digital citizenship, and then other books that you can make copies of and put right into your own library. Underneath that, we have books by grade level. So Book Creator is an amazing tool that's so easy to use that kindergarten kids, even younger, can use Book Creator. My own daughter was 3 when she started using Book Creator, and you can use it all the way on up until whenever, right? So it's awesome. And we do have some great example books here that you can take a look at, all written by students. So you just click on the grade level of your choice, and you're going to get some of those books. Underneath that, we do have books by our ambassadors. And our ambassadors have created these books on a wide range of topics, everything from differentiation to formative assessment, SEL, digital citizenship. And as you click the arrow, even more. All right, we have a brand new science notebook, journal kind of activity book that we created, followed by design tips, you name it. There's ways that you can use Book Creator here. And if you ever get to a point where you're just sitting there thinking, gosh, I've run out of ideas for using Book Creator, check this section out because there's about 1,000 more. All right. And then underneath that is my favorite section. And this is quite possibly the best revamp of this section that I have seen. Here we have books by subject. And so I think naturally when you hear Book Creator, you think of English, language arts, creative writing. But there are so many ways that you can use Book Creator in every single subject. And here are libraries filled with example books for those subjects. And if you've been here before, we've changed this a little bit. So now, not only do we have books by subject, we also have books by language, which is really cool. We have a collection of different types of activity books. And underneath the subject area books at the very bottom, there is now a drop down that says see more. And so now we've got even more amazing books. So sample SEL books, sample STEM, geography, poetry, character studies. I love this one, portfolio examples. So just again, a load of awesome resources there for you. All right. Now the next tab across the top is the certification tab. And what I love about the certification tab is that it's our own in-house course on how to use Book Creator. So when you scroll past my really bad haircut there, over on the left-hand side, you will see 18 videos that take you on that deep dive into all of Book Creator's features. You can watch those videos whenever you want, as many times as you want, whatever order you want. And then guess what? When you're done, you take the quiz and you pass it. And now you are a Book Creator certified author, and you get a cool badge, you get a certificate of completion. But more importantly, you have that deep, deep understanding of Book Creator. And I've had quite a few people who will use this certification program as kind of a follow-up to a webinar like today. A lot of it's the same information, but what's nice about it is, 2 days from now, a month from now, when you're sitting there going, what did he say about accessibility? Now you can go back and you can watch those videos and you can get that refresher. All right. So I absolutely love the certification section. All right, so I'm going to click the X here. We're going to go back into our actual library here today. And once you've created a library, the next most important thing is to get your kids to join the library, because that's how they are going to make books. All right, so we don't have student accounts in the traditional sense. Students have to join your library in order to work. So it's kind of similar to like a Google Classroom kind of situation. So here at the top, there's a little button that says invite code. I'm going to click on that button and a code is going to pop up. Now, I'm actually going to put that code into the chat window. So if you're watching today and you want to participate in real time with us, you go right ahead. All right. If you're watching this on video, there might be a chance that I've shut down that library by the time you watch it. So no worries there. But if you are here today and you want to participate, great. So every library that you create is going to have its own unique code. All right, so you give that code to your kids, whether you write it up on the board or you send it out through Google Classroom or an email or Parent Square or whatever it is. However you get that information out to your kids, you're going to send them this code. They're going to go to our website. They're going to click Student Sign In, and they're going to immediately, excuse my dog. They're going to click Sign In with Google or whatever the options are for their school, and it's going to immediately ask them to join that teacher's library. All right, so you're going to put that code in and now they'll be part of it. Now for everybody here today, it's a little bit different. You're going to go to the teacher dashboard. You're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and there at the very bottom is a button that says join a library. You're going to enter the code and you're going to click join again. And that is going to get you into the teacher's library, right? Or in this case, you're going to get into my library. Now at the top left, there's a little drop down. And if I click on that drop down, I'll be able to see which students or teachers in this case have joined. So Lynn and James, congratulations. Thank you for joining. You're now in there. And when students join your library, there's really three things that they can do, right? They can view any of the books that are already in there. All right. So if you are in my library and you want to click on any of these books, then you can certainly do so. And you can flip through the pages and check things out, but you won't be able to edit anything. All right, you'll just be able to view the books. One of the things that I started noticing kind of at the height of the pandemic was that teachers started to use this a lot more to make their own resources, right? So kids maybe went home with the pandemic stuff going on and they didn't take home a book with them or a textbook, or maybe there aren't textbooks, right? So teachers were able to use Book Creator to create their own materials, supplemental resources, you name it, which is awesome. And if you put it into a library like this, your kids can check those out. The second thing that your students can do is click this button at the top that says new book. And when they click new book, they have some blank books that they could make. They have some comic books down here at the bottom. And if that, makes your kids a little bit nervous, they can also click templates. And then they have some pre-built books that they can edit. So for example, I click on this magazine. I see this amazing magazine cover here, and then I can edit anything on here that I want. If I want to get rid of the camel, I can do that. And then as I go through the book, you'll see some more beautifully designed pages. All right. So again, really powerful. And what I think is awesome about these templates is it really shows you the power in the simplicity of Book Creator. So one of the reasons that Book Creator is so engaging to kids and to teachers, to be honest, is that it is very easy to use. And these templates, again, show how easy Book Creator is, but you can make something that looks very complicated, all right, like this. So we'll talk more about the ease of use here in a second. Another thing that you can do, and this is a new feature that was just added in the last week or so, is when you click new book, there is now an option to import a PDF. All right, and so when I click on this, and I have a really lame example of a PDF, but I'm going to click on my Bingo PDF, and I'm going to open it. And what it's going to do is it's going to take that PDF, whether it's 1 page, 10 pages, 20 pages, it's going to ask you to choose a style, and then I can click on it, and it will import that PDF and turn it into a book. And so not only does it turn it into a book like this where I have an image, but those PDFs are now editable. All right, so I can go in here, I could color things in, I could circle things. If I wanted to, I could even erase things right here on this PDF. All right. So this is really a cool feature. Maybe you have some, old PowerPoints that you want to bring some new life into. You could bring those PowerPoints into Book Creator, and then you can add all of the Book Creator goodies right on top. And those goodies we're going to be talking about here in just a minute. All right. And then the third thing that your students can do, and what we are actually going to focus on here today, is the students can actually work on the same book together. All right. So I can turn on collaboration, and this is a per book feature. So I go to the book, underneath, I click the share button, and I click collaborate. And so now I can have kids working together. By default, it is set up so that everybody in that library can work on the book. So it's kind of like everybody's hands in the cookie pot at that point. All right. Now, for some teachers, that's a little bit scary, right? Because I don't know if I want all of my kids working on the same book at the same time, especially little Johnny over there, because I know he's going to mess some stuff up. Well, if that's the case, we do also have a button here that says change. And when I click change, I can see all of my students that have joined this library, and I can choose which students I want to work together. So for example, if I know that Christine and Heather work really well together, then I'll turn on collaboration for just those two, and then only those two students can work on the book. Now for today, I'm just going to turn it on for everybody. We're going to open up the floodgates. We're going to go back and click start collaboration. And now you'll see a new icon appear on the book. And when you click on the book, I'll start to see little heads popping up here, letting me know that there are people inside the book. There they are. And all I'm going to ask you to do is go to a blank page somewhere in this book. All right. So I'm going to add a few extra pages here because we do have a good number of you watching. So I'm going to go to page 10. Any other page you want to play with, go right ahead. Page 10 is mine. All right. And so now we're going to talk about all of the good stuff and the fun things that you can add to a book. Now, I mentioned earlier that Book Creator is easy, and it is so easy because there are literally 2 buttons that you need to be aware of. That's it. All right, 2 buttons and that's it. So plus button allows you to add things to the book. The I button right next to it is the inspector, which allows you to change things, change colors, fonts, sizes. All right, so what kinds of things can we put into a book? Well, I'm going to click the plus button. We can put media, we can put shapes, we can put comics down here at the bottom, and we have another button that says more. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'm going to start with shapes, and we're going to work our way around to some of the other cool features. All right, so starting with shapes, I'm going to click on a shape, and it adds a shape straight to the page. I can move that around, I can resize that, and I can rotate it. All right, so very simple. Shapes do shapey kinds of things. I suppose if I was super creative, I could make a house or a car or Mickey Mouse or something out of those shapes if I wanted to. But my favorite piece here, though, is that some of the shapes allow you to type inside of them. And so now, instead of a house or a car or Mickey Mouse, maybe I'm looking at a graphic organizer, maybe I'm looking at a timeline, maybe I'm looking at a mind map. Maybe I have a diagram of a volcano on a page or a plant, and I can use the shapes to label the different parts of the plant. All right, so this is really a very powerful tool. If I click the shape and then click the inspector, I can now add colors. All right, so I can change the color of my shape. I can add shadows, borders, and if I did put text in there, I can click the text settings and I can drag the little slider here and change the size of the text, the font, the color. All right, so I absolutely love the shapes. Now, in the shapes tool, there is also a search bar. Now, this is part of our paid version, but this search bar allows me to search for just about anything. All right, my dog won't stop making noise. So I'm going to search for dog and click search. And then all of these dog images and icons start to pop up. And so I'm just going to pick a dog of my choice here, and it adds it right to the page. Now I can move the dog around. I can resize the dog, make the dog rotate. It's totally up to you, but these icons are awesome. They are great for lots of different things, like just making your pages look more beautiful, using icons for vocabulary, language acquisition. So I love these icons. And the thing that's really cool about them too is that inside that search bar, there's roughly 2 to 3 million icons. All right, so icons for just about anything that you can think of. And I'll be honest, I've searched for some really random things like photosynthesis and mitosis and whatnot, and I still get results that pop up. Because again, inside the search bar, there are 2 to 3 million icons. All right, next, plus button, media, camera. The camera, definitely one of my favorites, and I think probably one of the most underutilized tools that teachers have at their disposal. We have a camera tool built right in, and you can take a still picture, as you can see here, which is pretty self-explanatory, and you can record a video. Now, here's what I love about video. Hey, Mr. Smith, today in class, you talked about angles, and I could care less until I got home and realized there's a 90-degree angle right there on that pumpkin box. So it gives your kids the opportunity to take whatever it is that they learned in school and find it in the real world. So maybe I'm finding angles in my house. Maybe I'm interviewing community members. Maybe I'm showing my math teacher how I can solve math problems. The sky is the limit, and I absolutely love being able to add these videos in there. Now, depending on how long your video is and how much your internet wants to fight with you that day, it may take a couple seconds for that video to be there. But once it's there, like we have here, guess what? There's another cool trick. I can click the video, I click inspector, and now I can even add captions to that video. And not only can I just add captions, but I can add captions in 120 different languages. So whatever language you speak in the video, I can choose the language from the dropdown, and it will make captions in that language. It does not translate. All right, so if I have English, it's not going to translate the captions into Spanish, but I have a little hack that I'm going to show you here in a second. So I'm just going to click generate automatically, and in about 30 seconds or so, those captions will appear. I do not have to watch the bouncing dots. I can click back. I can keep working in my book. And like I said, in about 30 seconds or so, those captions will appear right there on my video. Now, a couple things. Captions are awesome, all right? And there's even some evidence that shows that if you turn on captions, it helps increase reading skills. I'm sure that some of you have students who struggle to read. So if we're going to use video in a class anyway, why not turn on the captions so we can help our students become better readers? All right, now, the video is there. I apologize, everybody, for my dog. I don't know if you can hear that as loud as I hear that, but I apologize. I'm going to click the video. I'm going to click inspector, and I'm going to click add captions again. All right, now my captions are still generating, but when they are done generating, right on cue, there is a little button here that says edit existing captions. And so now I can go back and I can actually change the text, right? So if I need to add capitals, and if I need to add punctuation where it needs to be, I can do that right here. And what's powerful about this is it helps allow students to maybe start with video and then work into editing, right? The text. So maybe don't start with writing and editing. We can start with video for kids who might need it that way instead. But then here is my favorite hack of all. I'm going to go to Google Translate. All right. And I'm not a language teacher, so I don't want to get into this, the whole nitty gritty of Google Translate, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to translate this into Spanish. All right. And so I'm going to take the Spanish text and I'm going to copy this text. I'm going to go back to my book. I'm going to replace the text that is already there with the Spanish. And so now, not only do I have captions, but I have English video with the Spanish captions or Spanish subtitles. And so now my videos are starting to look like Netflix, right? Which is really cool. So if you are a language teacher, or if you know a language teacher, a foreign language teacher, now we can have both languages going on in our videos, right? So I think this is really cool. I work with a school district that has 120 native languages in their district, or 120. And so they use Book Creator and this feature all the time to create videos for parents who don't speak English. So I think this is a really powerful feature. Okay, plus button, media, pen. All right, so we've got our pen tool here. All right. And in the pen tool, actually, I think I skipped images. Matt, did I skip images? I got to go back to images here for a second. So I'm going to click on images because I totally forgot. And this is a really awesome one. So here in Book Creator, we do have an image search built right in. So you don't have to go out to a random website. You don't have to go out anywhere else. You can go right here. And so I'm going to type in something like car, and all these beautiful images pop up. I click on the image that I want. I click add, and it's going to add that image to the book. All of these images, by the way, come from Pixabay. So they are free to use, free to modify, and they are safe. So these are like the most safe, most copyright-free images that you're going to find. And as you can see right here, they are crystal clear, right? These are awesome images. These are not the grainy thumbnails that your kids like to drag into presentations that look like garbage. These are wonderful. Now, click on the image, click the inspector, and guess what? I can hyperlink that image to a website or to a page in the book. So now it's a choose your own adventure story, a visual table of contents, and I can even add accessibility text. So if I put something in like red classic car on a dirt road, then when somebody with visual impairments is going to read my book, then when they do that, they click the play button, reads the text, plays the audio, plays the video, but now it also says image, red classic car on a dirt road. All right, so I absolutely love the ability to add those accessibility text there and add images. You can also add images from your own device if you want to. So if kids take their own pictures, you can bring those into Book Creator too. All right, next, plus button, media. Now it's time for the pen tool, which is definitely a mic drop moment. So I hope all of you, I can't see all of you, but I hope you're all sitting because I don't want you passing out and falling over with excitement, okay? And I know what you're thinking. It's a pen tool. How exciting can it possibly be? Well, watch this. Click the black dot. We've got all these really cool colors. Down here at the bottom, we have our magic ink. All right, guarantee your kids are going to go down here every single time because the magic ink is awesome. Click on the brush. I got a marker, a brush, a crayon, a highlighter, pretty standard pens that do pretty standard pen type things. I can circle words, I can underline words, I can highlight things, I can circle things on a map or a painting. And if I wanted to, I could add a mustache to a famous artwork, whatever you want to do. But then down here at the bottom, this is the best, and that is the auto pen. And the reason this is awesome is because it is an excuse killer. All right. So if you have kids who are probably 5th grade or older, and you ask them to draw and get creative, they start to say things like, well, I'm not creative. I'm not an artist. I don't like the trackpad. Go away. Well, with the auto pen, watch what happens. I am going to draw for you right now a bike. All right. So I'm going to start drawing this bike. Now, I'm already upset because this bike, honestly, is just hideous. All right. But as I'm drawing, at the top of the screen, the auto draw is trying to figure out what it is. Is it a basketball? I sure hope not. Is it a pair of glasses? Only if they're broken, right? Oh, here are some bikes right here. So I'm going to click the bike that I like, and it's going to fix my drawing and actually make it look like a bike. Now I can click my X, I can go to my cool colors, go to my magic ink, maybe go to my fill bucket, and now I can fill in this magical bike that now looks like a Book Creator logo on wheels. I can resize it, I can move it around, and I can make it pop some wheelies. All right, absolutely love the auto pen, and I guarantee you, your kids are gonna love it too. All right, now again, I can't see anybody, can't see if you passed out or not, but I'm guessing you're excited. All right, I got a thumbs up there from Matt. Awesome, Matt. So if anybody else is excited about the pen tool or anything else that you've seen so far, please let me know in the chat window. It's looking awfully quiet over there in the chat window. All right, next, plus button, media text. It's a book. You're probably going to want to put some text in there at some point. All right, and so we have some different text options. I'm going to click the text, and a text box pops up. All right. And so now, awesome, Jill, love to see that. So somebody who's used Book Creator didn't know that existed. That's awesome. That's why I'm here. And yes, your kids are going to go crazy over it. All right. So I've got my text box here. And of course, I can type my text in manually. I can paste text in there from somewhere else if I want. But my favorite button is this microphone right here. And the reason I love this microphone is because of a story I have from a student whose name is Michael. All right. So Michael was finally excited about writing, okay, because of Book Creator. But guess what? He was still a little angry because he said to me, I can't spell, I can't type, I don't know where the keys are on the keyboard. So he got really frustrated again. And I said, Michael, guess what? I said, it's okay, because you know what? Your teachers can't spell, the teachers can't type, and they don't know where the keys are because I watch them all day long. And he started giggling. And I said, but guess what, Michael? I said, with Book Creator, we have this microphone right here, which means you can write with your face. And he was like, what? And he got super excited. And so here's how it works. Click the microphone and choose your language from the drop-down period. Start speaking in that language. And that's it. You talk, it puts the text down. And Michael fell in love, and he was able to finally write in his own mind, and he just loved it. So I absolutely love the microphone. The other thing I love about the microphone, not only does it open up the ability to write to many, many more students, but it understands what I say, right? Which is great. Siri, she thinks I have a mouthful of marshmallows when I talk to her, but Book Creator just gets it, all right, which is very, very powerful. And again, it's a great way for kids to go back and proofread and edit and change things that they need to change. When I click done, my text shows up right here. I can then click the inspector. Now I can change the size of the text, the fonts, the colors, the backgrounds, columns, everything you need to change your text is right there in that dropdown. All right, next, plus button, media. The next one down is the record button. All right, and the record button is definitely a favorite of mine. Click start recording, gives you a countdown. Once upon a time, there was a boy named John who loved washing cars. Click stop, use recording, and now that recording of my voice is right there on the page. Great for reading fluency, great for music in the background, great for sound effects. I mean, Thanksgiving is coming up, so kids are writing stories about turkeys and you want to make a gobble noise, they can put that into the book, which is awesome. One of my favorite stories here is a student that I had. His name is Blake. And Blake really struggled with reading. He was a fifth grader. He was reading at a pre-primer reading level, which is very low, right, for a fifth grader. And I made him come in at recess one time, which I normally don't do. But I said to him, I need you to read this book. And so I had taken pictures of children's books. I had dumped them into Book Creator, probably broke about 15 copyright laws doing it. But then I made him record his voice reading those stories. And you know what happened after he got done? We listened to it. And he said to me, he goes, that is not me. And I was like, that's you. He goes, that is not my voice. And I was like, that's your voice, right? It's kind of like answering machines, right? You listen to yourself on an answering machine and you don't think it sounds like you. That's where Blake was, right? He's like, that is not me. It sucks. And I was like, I know. And that's why we're doing this, right? And we both started kind of giggling about it. But you know what happened after that day? He came in every day for recess. I didn't even want him to come in there, right? He came in every day to my room for recess and he recorded his voice reading different stories. And you know what happened in a month? He went up an entire grade level. I don't know about you, but I'll take that every single day for every single student, right? If they're going to go up that much in a month, yes, that's teacher touchdown moment right there. So that was super exciting for Blake. But again, I absolutely love this. Maybe you have some guest readers read stories for your class. You can put the principal's voice in there if you want. I think this is really cool. All right, now, plus button, media. The next one down at the bottom is the comic section. And so I click on comic panels, I choose a panel style, and it adds it right to the page. From there, I can click in the panel, choose the plus button, and then I can add an image from the web. I can add an image from my camera, my files on my computer, or my Google Drive. All right, we'll just add a picture in there. And now that image gets dumped right inside the panel. Great for retellings, narratives, step-by-step directions, sequencing, fantastic. I've even seen math teachers and students solving math problems in comic panels, which is really exciting to see. Then from there, I can click the plus button. I can add speech bubbles. So now we're talking dialogue. I can add thought bubbles. So now we're talking, internal thoughts, processes, aha moments, things like that. And we even have some cool stickers that you can add right to your pages. And you can see it's really starting to come together, really starting to look like a comic book. And not only that, If you go to a blank page and click the page and then the inspector, we do have some really cool backgrounds that you can use on your pages. These can also be put behind comic panels, which is cool. But we also have solid colors, borders, patterns, textures, and different paper styles. So maybe we want to have some graph paper, small graph paper that's so tiny nobody's going to use it, line paper, college ruled, kindergarten paper, the dot game you play when you're bored of PD, the dot game you play when it's an all-day PD, and music paper. Hopefully none of you are playing this game right now, but it is there as an option. All right, so I absolutely love the different paper styles here. Now, if you've used Book Creator before, but you haven't used it maybe in the last month or so, we have a brand new feature. So down here at the very bottom, if you click this plus button inside the speech bubble, we now also have the ability to add comments and feedback on student work. So students do the work here on the page, you click that button, and now I can add a comment on the student work here and post it. The student will see it. They can click the emojis and give it a reaction. And if you want, in the gear icon, you can allow students to comment back or not. And so then they can click add comment as well. But in true Book Creator fashion, that's not enough, right, for us. So not only can you add comments in text, if you click add comment, you can also add comments in video, audio, emojis, animated emojis, stickers, and Giphies. All right, so this is really cool. And I love it because it now brings feedback to even more students. All right, maybe you have students who can't read. Maybe you have students who can't see. And so now you can add audio feedback or video feedback, right, which is really powerful. Don't underestimate the power of emojis, right? If somebody does something really good, give them a great emoji, or they said something funny on the page, add an emoji of the crying, laughing emoji face. I think the other thing that's really cool here too is Giphies, right? Maybe they did something really good and you want to celebrate them that they did something good. You can post a fun Giphy in there because in my mind, feedback doesn't have to be a painful process, right? It can be something engaging and fun and getting your kids excited about writing. So I absolutely love the different options here. And then from a teacher standpoint too, I know we're all busy, and sometimes you don't have time to sit and type feedback to all your kids. Well, you know what? Maybe you take 5 seconds and you give them a quick recording and tell them what they did right or what they need to fix. So I absolutely love this feedback option. Now, when you're the teacher of the library or the owner of the library and somebody does leave feedback or comments, this little bell will light up and you can actually click on it and see where the different comments have been made. And then you can click on that comment, it will take you right to that page and you can see the work and the comments that the kids have done. All right, so really, really cool. Now, there's one extra set of features that I haven't touched on yet. So I'm going to touch on these just briefly. And that is in the teacher dashboard, there is a section that says apps. So if you have enjoyed Book Creator and your kids are ready to take it to that next level, we do have the ability to add these different apps into your Book Creator experience. All right, so maybe you want to turn on a Giphy or Bitmoji, which is actually only for teachers. Maybe you want to add a Canva integration. You can certainly do that. So all of these apps are turned off by default. And you as the teacher need to click on one of the apps and decide if you want to turn it on or not. All right, now I wouldn't want to go through this without mentioning that each of these apps has its own privacy information. I know most of us are not going to click on the privacy policies and read the 20 or 30 pages of information. I don't blame you, right? I don't want to do that either. So we have created a nice little cheat sheet card for each of the apps. So Giphy, for example, nobody under the age of 13 can use it. So that basically takes out my elementary school, right? They're not able to use this as students. However, you can turn it on for yourself. So that way only you as the teacher can add Giphies into a book, right? And the students can still see them, but they may not be able to add their own. But if you teach older students and you think that's cool, you click enable. You can choose which individual libraries have it turned on, or you can turn it on for everybody. And then you click done. And now you get a little green check mark, and now it's turned on for everybody. And when you have the apps turned on, you go into a book you click the plus button and you click more, and whatever apps you've turned on will be right there inside of the more button. All right, and your students will then have access to add those to the pages. Canva is great. Go into Canva, you can design something and you can bring it straight into Book Creator. They've worked with us as well to create unique covers for our books, which is really, really cool. 3D models, right, are super awesome because I can maybe go in here and find a picture of Big Ben and I click on it, it loads my 3D model. And then in a second, it'll become crystal clear. And then there it is. And I can scroll around and look at all the different parts of Big Ben and click add to my book. And now I've added this wonderful 3D model right inside of the book. All right. Now, the last thing I want to show you before I take any extra questions that there might be is underneath the book, there are some book options. All right. So we have a book icon. I can move a book from one place to another. I can make a copy of a book, or in this case, maybe students can make a copy of a book. So maybe I've used Book Creator to create some kind of template for my students. So I make a template, they make a copy, and they edit the template, all right, which is really cool. I can also combine books. So I've got all these books in my library. Maybe I want to add them together. And I choose whatever order I want and I click next, and it takes all of those books and a copy of them and brings it straight into one big book. All right, which is awesome. All right, and then you can also delete, right? If you don't want your book there anymore, you can delete it. But my favorite section, my favorite button of all is right here under the share button. All right, we talked about collaboration. You can download your book as an EPUB. You can print your book out as a PDF if you want on your own printer. But right here is the most powerful button of all, and that is the ability to publish online. All right, and the reason I love this button is because my students hated me and they hated writing, right? More than they hated me, which was hard to do. All right, but guess what? Things changed when I told my students I was going to take their garbage writing and publish it online for the whole world to see. They kind of looked at me strange, but then they realized something, that when we publish the work for the whole world, then somebody other than me, their old fuddy-duddy teacher, was going to benefit from the work that they created. And you know what happened? Engagement went up, quality of work went up, students showed up to school. It was an unbelievable sight. So we gave our book a title, an author, a description. We made it private so that only people with the link could see it. We could make it public if we wanted to, but we left it private. We decided not to let people make copies of our book, which is fine. And if you want to make copies, you can turn that on too. But once we did this, we clicked publish. And then guess what? That book is now online and visible to anybody that gets the link. All right. So maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a community member, maybe it's administrators, maybe it's Twitter, Facebook, totally up to you. Copy this link, send it out to whoever. And then guess what? When they start reading the book, we now have a section of analytics. All right. And so now we can see how many times that book has been read, what countries that book has been read in. And when those books are being read, little dots will start popping up all over the map. And now we can see where those books have been read. And now we're teaching geography, which is super cool. All right. But guess what? I'm telling you right now, there is nothing more engaging to that kid who did not want to write in the first place than telling them that that book has been read in 75 times in 13 different countries. You will see your students totally change, right? They will be engaged like never before. There's my daughter. All right. So this is very, very powerful. All right. I promise. Okay. Now that is Book Creator. So I would love for everybody to let me know, how are you feeling right now in the chat window? Are you excited? Do you just want me to leave? I mean, where are we right now? Do you have any questions? Let's put those into the chat window. All right, I saw a heart pop up there. I don't even know where that came from, but that's super cool. I just saw that heart pop up there at the bottom of my screen, which is really cool. So I'm going to stop sharing here for a second. All right, there's some hands. Oh, it came from the Zoom. That's cool. I've never seen that before. Lynn, what is the best way to use this in class when you want individual students to create their own book, their own accounts, then they add the teacher as collaborator, or you use a template and create one in a teacher account for each student? Okay, great question. So by default, all right, students do not have an account All right, we don't want students to have an account in the traditional sense. So you as a teacher have to create your own library and then invite the students in. All right. And once they are in your library, then they can click the new book button and they can start making books on their own. And what's nice about that is you as a teacher get to see any of the books that are being made inside your library. All right. So that's really powerful. Now, if you want to comment on their work, you just click the comment button. You go inside their book and you start commenting. And if you want the students to be able to comment on other student work, you're going to turn collaboration on for that book, and then the students can collaborate. But by default, we don't have it so that students can comment on each other's books. All right. Awesome. And Heather, awesome. I'm so glad that you enjoyed that and you're loving it. And Jill, didn't use it fully, only used it, want to learn in a teacher workshop. Now you're ready to move forward with this, right? Which is super cool. So I cannot wait to hear all of the good stuff that you and your students create. I don't know, Matt, do we have anything, any closing remarks or anything like that? But before we do that, I just want to say thank you everybody for being here. I really do appreciate it. Be safe out there. Happy bookmaking.